actually stand here and teach you about Flexbox. Since the video started, we're learning Flexbox. Yay! Flexbox is awesome. And if you want to see the resource from which we're working, you could go to this right there, and that'll give you the course outline. And you could also find this course on Greater Commons, and you can watch the whole thing, greatercommons.com. And that is this course right down here, HTML, CSS, how to create a website. It's like 30 hours. It'll teach you everything about HTML and CSS. And the code that we're using is github.com, goes to 11. Repositories, HTML, CSS, Bootcamp. You've got all the resources you need. Now we're going to learn about Flexbox and Layout. The absolute best place to go for Flexbox is Flexbox CSS Tricks. And so this, we're going to look at it, see how to interpret it, how to use it. And if you're new to HTML and CSS, to do layout in CSS, you could go to CSS Layout, Learn Layout, that's what it's called, Learn CSS Layout. And you could go here to the table of contents and learn CSS Layout. And have we looked at this yet? Totally awesome. We'll come back and review it at the end of the video because people watching this video want to get it on with Flexbox right now. But this shows you like all the stuff you could use with CSS to do layout. All of it's covered in that online course and in our course outline and in the videos here on YouTube if you can find them all. Bam. Let's do Flexbox. So Flexbox, start off here, and we're going to go into temp, and we're going to create fall 2017, a new folder, and a new directory. And this directory is going to be 018 Flexbox. And then inside there, we're going to create a new directory. And this directory will be 01. And then inside there, we're going to create what? Index file, HTML, and what else? Main.css. And then we're going to link those two, because if we don't, we'll be like, why ain't my code working? And it's like, well, I forgot to link it to my CSS. And we'll just copy this a couple of times so we have a few empty templates with which we could start working. And I don't know how many we'll need. We'll say 5. All right, sweet. So I'm going to vertically split that. And I got my CSS on the left. I got my HTML on the right. Awesome. First thing I'm going to do is create a, I don't know what it'll be. I will call this header. Header. Okay? And I'm going to make a header. And on that header, to make that Flexbox enable, I do header, and I say display flex. And here in our course outline, we have a list of what we've learned so far. We've learned about box model and box sizing and border radius. Margin 0 auto will center something, right? If it's a display block level property. And we had display property. We had display block, display inline block, display none. Now we're learning display flex, just to kind of like associate that and put that into your area. And then there's also position and float, which are a couple ways you can lay things out. We saw a little bit about position on Tuesday. Awesome. So we make this a flex container. And you'll see here that when you're learning about Flexbox, there is the flex container, and then there's flex items. And the items, flex items, are inside a flex container, and they are only the immediate direct descendants. So here, this is a flex container because I did display flex. It's all enabled to be empowered to do flex stuff. Inside there, I could start putting stuff. I'm going to put a div here. I'm going to put a div here. And then in here, maybe I want to have, right, in this one here, maybe I want to have, and in this one here, maybe I want to have, I don't know, a couple more divs. These divs are not flex items. Okay? This one is a flex item, and this one is a flex item. I don't know why I just got that. That one's a flex item. Let me try my different options here. Not that one. That one's a flex item, and this, I can't do multiple selection, non-contiguous multiple selection. In WebStorm I could, but not in Gogland. They haven't figured that out yet. I wish they had. So those are my flex items, those two divs. These are not flex items. why are these two divs, right? Why are those flex items? They are the immediate direct children of header, which has display flex on it. That's important concept number one. Easy, right? Got it? Right? And make this Flexbox. The next important concept of Flexbox is you got to know what direction things are going. And you could set a couple of properties on Flexbox. So one of the properties you could set is flex direction. And my choices are row and column. Or you could do row reverse and column reverse and just flip all the children, display them in the exact opposite order. Right? Flip all the flex items, display them in the exact opposite order. You want to see that? Yeah. Whoa! This will be our first example. Sorry, and I was complaining to Asvina, I'm like, I don't know why it takes me like there's a certain amount of energy it takes, and it's like, oh God, okay, I gotta find that energy. And it's like, okay, do it! All right, so I'm gonna make like 5 flex items here, these divs, and they'll just be 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, and bam. So now I'm going to do flex direction row, and for each div, for the divs, I need to do a little bit of width, 100 pixels, height, 100 pixels, and a border, 1, 2 pixels, solid crimson. I don't know why crimson makes me think of gangs and Harvard at the same time. That's weird. Because I grew up in the 80s and they had the Crips, maybe, down in LA. Maybe that's what it makes me think of. Do they still have them? I don't know. All right, so theirs should be, everything's going to line up in a row. And normally, if I didn't have Flexbox on here, right, those are just going to stack vertically. Because divs are block level elements, display block. But when I turn Flexbox on, I say row, flex direction row, they're all in a row. All right, row reverse, you ready? There's row reverse. Now 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I'm going to hit refresh now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and over from the right. Whoa, trip out. So you got row, row reverse, and you also have column. So here's row. We'll just go back to row. And you also have column. And column is going to line them up just as if they are display block, but put them into a column. Sweet. So that's the first thing you need to know. What direction am I going? Am I going column or am I going row? And if you're going row, then row is your primary axes. So first thing you need to know, container, children, right? Display flex on the container makes all the children flex items. And the container is like the flex container. That's the first thing. Display flex makes flex container, makes all the children flex items. First thing. Second thing, know what direction you're going, row or column. And you have, I got to pause this right here, save all that. Go here to number 2, so drop all that in and yes, replace, override all. Right, so now I have that same code right here, so we're just going in steps here, so you can look back and see how we progressed. All right, sweet. So that's where we left off. So first thing, we got to know display flex, and that needs to be number 1, just display flex. Bam. You ever get that feeling somebody's watching you? I'm like, oh no, it's a blue trash can over there against the wall. I thought there was somebody looking at me. And now the next thing is, what direction am I going? So I'm going to put that here. What direction am I going? What direction am I going? That's the question I ask myself. And then we have operates on primary axes, and we have operates on secondary, also sometimes called cross axes. Okay? And that's justified content. Always operates on the primary axes. And align items always operates on the secondary axes. Okay? So I only have justified content turned on right now. And that always operates on the primary axis. What's my primary axis? My primary axis is row. Justify content operates on the primary axis. It's going to center things on the row. Okay? Header, 1 pixel black. Header display flex, width 100%. You know what I'm looking at? I need to launch a new window. I was looking at the folder 1 code. I'm like, why is it not changing? So I don't think I need this. And the border just shows me where the header is. So I'm now going to add in on this height, 100 viewport height. So I'll make my header the whole page. See that? And up at the top, I'm going to do HTML, body, div, header, in order, just for fun, div, and I'm going to do content, padding, border, margin, and I'm going to make this border here 4 pixels, and box sizing border box on everything, because I don't, oh, not inherit. Bad editor, bad. And I'm going to make this green, like yellow green. All right, now you can see no scroll bars, right? And I went horizontally because here, justify content operates on the primary axis. My primary axis is row, so justify content is operating on the primary axis and it's centering on the row, the primary axis. Okay. And I think that's a good point to go to the next one. I got a little bit of an edge, huh? No? A little bit? Yeah, what's up with that? I don't know. All right, so the next thing is align items operates on the cross axis, the secondary axis. What's my secondary axis? My cross axis. In this situation, what's my cross axis? So my primary axis is row, which means my cross axis is going to be what? Column. Cross axis. Row, column. So align items operates on the cross axis. So now what are you going to see when I launch this page? I no longer have justify content center. Where is this going to be when I launch the page? Where are my divs going to be? Top, center, or bottom vertically? Top, center, or bottom vertically? What sets the vertical top, center, bottom? What is setting the vertical position of the flex items? Align items. All right, why? Because align items works on the what? Line items works on the what? Always works on the line items, always works on the what? Look at the comment right above it. Line items always works on the cross axes. All right? And what is my primary axis? Row. So what's my cross axis? Column. So is vertically, is my stuff going to be at the top, center, or bottom? Vertically, is my stuff going to be at the top, center, or bottom? Huh? going to be at the center. Because here's align items, and that's going to operate on the cross axes. The primary axis is row, so the cross axis is column. We're going to center. This is operating on the cross axis, which is the column. We're going to center in the column, and the height is 100 VH, which is giving us a whole enough height. Sometimes you'll do that and your height will just not be anything and you won't see any change. But since our height is the whole viewport window, we're going to go into the center of it. How would I get this from here out into the very middle of the page? You've seen me do this many times. This is the first day where I was like, let's build a page. I was like, bam, bam, and had paradise right in the center of the page. I did this. You're now learning it. What do I have to uncomment for that to work, and why does that do it?
Justify content.
I got to uncomment justify content, and why was that? Why will that center it in the middle of the page? Because justify content operates on the what? Primary axes. What's my primary axes? It's the row, right? So I'm going to copy all this. Yeah, it's kind of weird for me. I'm just going to own that and like try to take a chill pill right now. I think Dave. Look, Dave, I can see you're really upset about this. I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over. It's Hal the computer saying it to the last surviving human. He's killed all the other humans, and the last surviving human's on his way to shut the computer down. And the computer's like, oh, checkmate. I'm going to be turned off here in a second. Yeah. I think you need to take a stress pill. I sometimes like I like that quote. That's a good quote. But sometimes for whatever reason when I'm talking about code, it like took me so long to learn it, and I was like so confused that then I'm finally like, I know there's like a little part of me that gets angry about it when I teach it. I don't know why that is. Anybody ever have any similar experience? No. I don't know if I'm passionate or I resent it or like I'm tired of it or what. But there's part of me it's like this.
Just understand.
Yeah. All right, so I think did I copy all this into the next folder, or are we in 4? We're in 4. So now I could uncomment this, and it's right in the center of the page. So I'm going to throw you a curveball. You ready for the curveball? And then I'm going to give you a hands-on project. So here's the curveball. And then, by the way, the reason I speak to, just like that energy is because there's this guy, Roger, and I'm just, his quote kind of illustrates it. Dang it, what is his name? Roger. It's going to be like Jerry Lee Lewis or the famous quotes explained. Brainy quote. Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers. When I accept myself just as I am, then I change. It's like called the paradox of change in psychology. Carl Rogers was like a huge psychologist, and he was like the father of something. Carl Rogers, Wikipedia. Oh, maybe it said it right there really quickly. American psychologist, founders of a humanistic approach to psychology, and something else. I don't know. Client-centered approach. But when you accept yourself just the way you are, then you change. Isn't that a funny paradox? The paradox of change. And so that's why I'm like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit angry for whatever reason, or got an edge. Interesting.
That means it's like when you finally accepted something, then you kind of change because you're a bit more peaceful about it.
Yeah, like it's no longer, yeah, something like that. So how is this going to change it? How will this change the layout? I just changed it from row to column. How's that going to change the layout? How many people say it's going to change the layout? Raise your hand. How many people say the layout's going to be the same? It's going to look exactly the same. So let's look at it as row. Here it is as row. Okay? And I'm going to change this to column. Is this layout going to change when I hit refresh? How many people say yes? How many people say no? Take a stand, Asvina. It's going to change it. 3 say yes, and you say no. You're saying no, it's not going to change it? It will. You're all saying it'll change it. Are you ready? Oh. You guys are awesome. You know what? I was wrong. I was thinking it wouldn't change it. I thought it's just going to be the same. I know, I was. And I totally suckered into like my own little sand trap. You guys are awesome. You figured it out. So what's this operating on? Is this centering it vertically or horizontally?
Vertically.
Centering it vertically. Why?
Because that's on the cross axis.
No.
Oh, no. Because,
primary axis. Justify content always works on the primary axis. The primary axis is now column.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And what's this one centering it? Vertically or horizontally?
Horizontally.
Horizontally. Line items always works on the cross axis. Primary axis is column, so the cross axis is horizontal. So this is centering it horizontally. First thing you got to know, make a flex container. Immediate direct children are the flex items. Second thing you need to know, set your direction. Right? Set your primary axes. Yeah.
So, is it specifically the flex direction that sets it primary, or is it just because you have that listed first? Like, so if you swap them, like the line items first, would that change it?
If this was down here, you mean?
Yeah, is it like in the order?
Doesn't change it.
List it, or specifically just flex direction?
Oh, this doesn't change it. Those are just, all evaluated, and that's applied, that's applied, that's applied. It renders. Does that answer your question? Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Don't mess with me, it's Flexbox. All right, so let's do this now. I want you, should I give you a hands-on exercise, or do you want to see a little more? Asvina, just a little bit more. Header, 2 divs. Flex direction row. Height. 10 viewport heights. Which one's going to operate on, which one's going to center horizontally for me? Justify content or line items?
Justify content.
Justify content, centering horizontally. You are all over it now. You got it. And why? Why is justify content centering horizontally?
Because flex direction is row.
And when my flex direction row is row, that sets my what? Primary axis. Okay? And so now I've got that centered horizontally. You'll notice that when I came here, there's a few more options. Center was what we use. There's inherit, there's space between, there's flex end, flex start, space around. I'm going to go with space between. And launch a new window so I'm not like, why is it not working? Space between. Just stuck one on one side, one on the other. And now I could do my, inside this little container right here, I could put my logo, 01, my logo is going to be over here. And inside this container over here is 02. I could put like home, about, this, and now I've got my little header bar up at the top. And if I wanted to, then we could use position fix, take that header out of document flow and just stick it at the top of the page always, and everything's going to flow under it. But I'm not going to add in extra code right now. We'll see that when we learn position fixed. How would I take this 0, 1 and put it into the middle of that div? So that's the next question.
Change justify concepts.
Close other tabs. Except then I'm going to lose that one. Come on, baby. Come on. Close tabs to the right. How do I take 0, 1 and put it into the center? Using Flexbox. Let's do it for both 0, 1 and 0, 2 at the same time. How do I do that?
Give them a class.
I could just target the div.
Oh.
That's fine right now. So, but how do I take 0, 1, 0, 2 and put them into the center? How did we put our whole thing in the center earlier?
Margin auto.
That's one way. We could try it. Not quite what I was going for. It's kind of interesting, though. How do I take the 0 and the 1, just the numbers, and put them in the center of the divs? Well, I could say a div is display flex. That div is now a flex container. And that 0, 1 text is a object. Okay? That 0, 1 is a flex item. So my div is a flex container. I could say my flex direction, set my direction, is row. And then I could center it horizontally with justify content. And I could center it vertically with the line items on the cross axes. And this will put my 0, 1 and 0, 2 into the center.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I've got Flexbox holding stuff that's got Flexbox. Flexbox is just how, make it a container, take the children, put them here, do it, nest it, whatever. Because here, this Flexbox container works on the divs. This Flexbox container works on that. All right, so I want you to recreate the Paradise page that we saw the first day. I want a full page background image, height 100 VH on body. I want the reset up here at the top. Get rid of all the padding, border, margin, box sizing, border box, everything. 100 VH on the body height so that it's a full page. Then put some text in it and center that right in the middle of the page. And have it say Paradise and put an image on the back of the page, background image that says Paradise. And you have 10 to 20 minutes. So to 4:30 maybe at the max.
Okay. So,
And if you get done, just get up and walk around and say, who needs help? Asvina. Come on, you know you rock it. And Teresa, you're rocking it right here.
I know. I trust her more than me.
All right, so knock that out.